faster.
Okay, this is my grandpa Jack, and we're going to be interviewing about the printing business and how he was in the Vietnam War. When did you start working in the printing business?
I started working in the printing business when I was very young, probably about 8 or 9 years old. At that time, printing, we were doing magazines and newspapers and different types of printing, but it was all what was called letterpress, with individual letters or lines of relief type rather than the way printing is done now, which is called lithography. And my job at that time was taking the spent lead from the lines of type, and when I was very young, I would put it all into a hot melting pot and make ingots that were used to make the new lines of type or the new letters to be used for printing.
Okay. How was growing up in the business? Like, did you like it? Did you like fall in love with it because you were around it so much?
It was just a way of life for me. Just the way anybody would grow up on a farm. It was a way of life. I started doing printing. Somebody growing up on a farm, worked with cows, worked with pigs, whatever they had on their farm, growing up that way. I liked it. I had fun. I worked after school. I still had a lot of time for sports. I was in basketball, football, track. I had all sports in high school, and I still had to work after I got done with them.
Okay. Did you have any other jobs besides that?
I mean, when I was growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. When I was younger, before I was old enough to drive a motor vehicle or anything, I worked at Creer's Canning Factory, and I worked labeling cans, canning food in the canning factory. After I got a little bit old enough, then I worked in the fields, driving tractor, driving semi, driving trucks. And after I graduated from high school, before I went into service, I worked for Harnisch-Fager Homes, building houses.
Okay. How were you educated about the printing business?
How was I educated about the
Did you
printing
go to
business?
college, or did you just learn?
Both.
Both?
When I was in the Navy, I started out because I was learning the printing business all the while I was growing up. When I got into the Navy, I also got into the printing division, and I got to be a second-class petty officer running the printing division on a ship, on an aircraft carrier. And I think we had 14 or 15 people in our division. And we did a lot of different types of printing, for different operation orders and things. So I learned a lot there. After I got out, I went to school. I went to MIT for 2 years and got a degree, associate's degree in printing. After that, I went to a lot of courses. After I started working, and then I went to a lot of different courses in printing management.
Okay. Was printing on the ship any different than in the factory?
A little bit different. It was the same basic type of printing. It's just that the way printing works is you have an aluminum plate that goes around the cylinder, and you have to put a film of water over that whole plate. Well, on the ship was rocking back and forth, so you couldn't have a pan of water that roller would run into. So we had different modifications that we used. I mean, it was 3 feet long, the rollers were, and the pan that normally would have been there, what it was replaced with was a big tube about this big around, about 3-4 inches around, and it had jets so that the water sprayed onto the cylinder, and then it dripped off into the pan and then back into a big tank. That was about the only thing that was different.